The show where there are no penalties, nothing is offside, and everything is fair game. This is The Gloves Are Off.
Hello and welcome to another edition of The Gloves Are Off. I'm Moses Woldu, and we got a great show for you today, and it's going to be all softball, baseball, and all that. And the reason why I say that is we have, well, you know what? This is a great segment. How about our resident oddball? There we go. How about that? That just worked out beautifully. Andrew Brethauer with the Lloydminster Source. How are you?
Can't even get an insult on my birthday, and you can't even not go without insulting me.
You know what? Well, I'll get you a cake later tonight. How about that?
No. No, that cake is taken care of. My girlfriend knows what she's doing.
Well, you know what?
Mess with something.
How about this? How about a case of Ripstone Creek? Ripstone Creek, beautiful beer, by the way.
We're going eventually.
Yeah, well, you know what? We'll get your birthday sponsored. How about that?
That would be nice.
That's a little way to do it. We'll keep rubbing in. We'll throw it in. We'll throw in Ripstone Creek every once in a while, whenever we can. It's a delicious beer.
Oh,
and, there we go. We're going to go to you. You are a champion. And the reason why I say that is your Lloydminster Liners, the under-18s, captured provincial gold over the weekend. Pleased to be joined by Brett Harvie. You are the coach. And, of course, you're basking in a glow. You're looking good. How are you?
Good, yeah. No, we had a great weekend. Both as a team and as an organization, we had teams have a lot of success. So, yeah, I think everyone's on a high after the weekend.
Yeah, especially when your team, as well as the others coming through, you're hosting nationals next year. It's a great way to say we're legitimate. Watch out for the Liners.
Yeah, I don't think you ever want to be that team that's just there because you're hosting, right? You want to earn your spot, and yeah, we definitely plan to next year.
Hopefully you're going to earn your spot here when you whoop Andrew. Again, we'll get you something nice. But right now, the lines have been drawn. Let's see how this goes for the rest of the way. And talking about lines been drawn, the line has been drawn in terms of Milos Raonic's career. He's finally reached a Grand Slam final at 25. Not too bad, and according to a lot of people, it's not until about your later 20s when you start winning Grand Slams. You see Novak Djokovic being a prime example of a guy who's dominating right now at the age of 29, 30. But you look at what happened to Raonic over the last couple years, the maturity level, what he's done in the foreseeable future. Do you guys see Raonic winning a Grand Slam? We'll start with you, Brett.
I mean, if his all-around game keeps improving, absolutely. I mean, he's got a serve that makes him tough to beat every day on any surface. So, yeah, I mean, he's still young for men tennis standards. So, yeah, he looks like he has a good future.
And he's changing. He's reinventing himself. New coach with John McEnroe, letting his emotion show, which isn't highly Canadian, but it's great to see. And
it's very McEnroe.
Yeah, it's very. But it was great
without
to
throwing
see.
his racket or yelling at the.
Right, well, that's still young. Hold on, give him some time. I'll pay to see that. That'd be awesome. But it's nice to see finally showing some emotion. It's not just the subtle, I guess we'll call it, Canadian way of doing things. It's getting out there and doing that. It's a matter of time, I think, before he starts winning majors. It's, you know, Djokovic is eventually going to go out, and are we going to start seeing maybe the Andy Murray versus Raonic kind of feud going on? That might be the next thing. But even if Andy Murray's kind of getting older too, so tennis needs to replenish that. So, and Raonic is the next guy up. All
right, guys, we'll move on to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, a team that has definitely replenished with 60-some guys, brand new, that came into camp. Of course, that was a long time ago when you look at the season. Right now, 3 weeks in, they had first bye week, 0-2 to start the year. But I think the biggest thing was their play. They did improve from the game against Toronto to Edmonton, but the biggest thing was going for that 3rd and 1 in overtime, where you're down by 3. A field goal would have taken you to another round of overtime. Andrew, I start with you. I thought this was an iffy call, but we've talked about this, and you say it wasn't a bad call.
I was all for it. I think against your former team, you're not settling for a field goal. I'd go for it too on 3rd and 1. 3rd and 1's one of those, you're going to take a shot for it. At least I would. Like, I don't know but their success on 3rd and 1, I don't know if you call the quarterback sneak and have Durant try to go up the middle.
They've had troubles with their quarterback issues. They had to trade for another one. Muniz was a guy that they brought in the game against Toronto who fumbled on a 3rd and 1. So they've had a lot of problems. But with that, Brett, you're a coach. You've been in situations, I'm sure, that have resulted in you have to make a tough call and gamble a little bit. Do you like what Chris Jones did in this particular?
I mean, I guess ultimately it depends on what their success rate is on those kind of plays, and I'm not aware what it is, but
not very good at this moment.
Not this year for sure. But I mean, Jones is a heck of a coach. I don't know what he's going to be like as a GM, but I'm an Eskimos fan, so seeing what he did in Edmonton for the last 3 years.
And what he did for Edmonton in this case after
well,
the team botched it.
that
Not
too,
necessarily
right?
his result, but the aggressiveness did lead to the team now 0-2. There is some bright spots, but you got to think, like, there's got to be a lot more questions, maybe mentally in this case. Like, you gamble, yes, you've been successful, you did it throughout the game.
Yep.
You took a couple shots and you actually came out on the right side of it, but at the end of the day, you gambled on the 3rd and 1. I thought just kicking it, and then you'd have a new series to go through.
But then you're now down to a one and done series. You only have one shot at it left. I like the play based on it's week 3. Like, a loss now, you still got 14 more games to go. There's still a lot more football to play. I'm not too concerned. And
if they're successful, their fate's in their own hands, right? If it's not, then it's back to square one, right? Overtime. So.
And this is a chance for them to win the game, because it's
Right.
not just like you get this first down. Now you get another 1st and 10, and you can go and win the game because all you score is touchdown, you win. So I like it. I think in that option, Edmonton settled for a field goal. I'd go for it. I would all the time go for it. Never cross my mind to go for a field goal.
It's just one of those things. It's tough, especially when you need to rely on your starting quarterback, a guy who's been injured, having to come in on a 3rd and 1 in a situation like that. That scares me normally, because over the last few years, it's a backup's role. And if your backups can't do the job, Lord knows that you're in a bit of trouble. But from a sport that involves injuries to another, we'll switch topics and go to hockey now. And you look at the sport in general. It's a physical game, it's a fast game, and just kind of alluding to a bunch of injuries, you see that even more so nowadays as opposed to guys, say, 20, 30 years ago. Case in point, Bobby Orr was a guy who had his career, he had an illustrious career, albeit you wondered if it could have gone a lot longer without certain injuries. But you look at in terms of what he's done, and look at what he had to say the other day just in regarding of the sport. He says it's too dangerous now because the players are too big and too fast. Is he right? Do you agree with what Bobby Orr is saying about the sport?
I mean, what sport is going to try and slow down their game? That's what sells the sport. So he might be right, and that contributes to injuries. Do I think taking or putting the red line back in is a terrible idea? I'm not necessarily. I mean, the whole point of taking it out was to add offense, and we're right back in the dead puck era. So, that hasn't worked. So I don't know if putting the red line in would make it even worse. Maybe, maybe not.
And that was one of his suggestions, kind of alluding to that, and that's a great point in terms of what you brought up. I don't know. And I think you raised a good point in terms of this is all about money. It's an entertainment business. You want speed, you want excitement, and to slow it down, it would eventually cost you money.
And originally, this was all done to sell the game of hockey. Hockey was the 4th, maybe even 5th sport in America, and you had to sell the game by what Americans want: more goals, more points. So that's why we took it out. Game got faster. Then we kind of grew into the whole concussion era and learning about our health and what not to do. So it makes sense now to put it back in to stop that. If you care about the health of players, you got to put it back in. There's really no option, because as you said, we're still not seeing goals. It's not like we're seeing 8-7 games or these massive over 10 goals per game type things every single night. We're still seeing the 2-1 because coaches know how to coach. And they're going to adjust. You put the red line. You could put 5 lines back in the middle of the ice if you wanted to, and coaches would learn how to adjust.
Then here's another point. Any of you guys could jump in. Is there an alternative to what Bobby Orr is saying?
Yeah, let goalies play the puck outside of the trapezoid, right? I mean, I would think there'd be just as many or more injuries occur below the goal lines and in the corners than center ice. So, if the goalies can play the puck again freely, I would think that'd make a big difference. Obviously, it's going to make it a lot tougher to get on forecheck, which again is the fast, exciting part of the game. But if we're looking at injuries, not the speed of the game or entertainment value, that would probably do as much or more for injuries. You're
missing out on a few little, breakaways from across the ice, and I don't know what you can do with that, because you have that guy coming out of the penalty box, and now how many times have we seen that streaking up the middle? So we're going to lose that, and that's exciting to see. But
how often does that happen anymore?
How often does it happen? How often are we having people? And it's changed though. We're not talking the days when we got rid of the red line. We were having guys like Scott Stevens coming across the red line, killing guys. Yeah. We don't have that anymore. Nope. Not saying that would come back in the game, but we don't have that kind of player. So you put the red line back in, I think you'd be fine. I like the getting rid of the trapezoid though.
That's,
Yep.
yeah, I don't think you're going to find any argument amongst us three, that's for sure. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we're going to talk about the Toronto Blue Jays in their first half season, as well as Brock Lesnar and his great return back to the UFC.